Hello, guys. Welcome to lesson number 1. Welcome to Careerist. Today, we're going to talk about career and job market overview. We're going to talk about the profession of software quality assurance, about QA, which stands for quality assurance. And we're going to talk about testing. We're going to talk about how you can make 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour after 1 month program and getting a job in between 2, 3, sometimes up to 4 months. Usually it's between 1 to 3 months of job search. The job is very simple. It's very straightforward. Anyone can do it. You don't need any technical background or any computer science degree. You don't need any coding or programming to do this type of job. And we're going to talk today about the industry, about the salaries, about what we actually do at work. We're going to show you. And of course, we're going to leave time for your questions at the end of the lesson. So please bear with us, listen carefully. Most of the questions are going to be answered during the lesson, but in case you're still going to have questions in the end, we will leave time to answer all of your questions. Those of you that already attended the webinar before, today you're going to see some things that are going to repeat in the first part of the lesson. But in the second part of the lesson, you're going to have a lesson with our QA lead from Google, Yuri, and you will learn a lot of new stuff as well. So guys, let's start. Please meet Careerist, your career partner. We are a leading career training platform pioneered by industry experts to maximize the students' hiring opportunities. When we say industry experts, we actually mean that our instructors, our teachers, our QA managers, QA leads, software QA engineers from the best companies in the world like Google, Apple, Facebook, Intel, and many others. Soon I will introduce you the instructors and you will learn more about their background and experience. So we bring you the best of the best from the best companies in the world to share their knowledge and experience with you guys to help you get your maximum possible rate in minimum possible time without wasting your time, without wasting your effort, and of course to help you avoid the mistakes that most people are doing during the job search and the mistakes that we used to have in the beginning of our path. We are supported by already more than 250 career staff, which makes us the largest QA course in the United States, which allows us to help and support you much more than anyone else ever before, just because we have the resources, we have more people to help you and support you during your journey. Our graduates are landing high-paying jobs in record time. When we say high-paying jobs, what we mean is that 50% gonna get, let's say, full-time. It's gonna be 70 to 100K salaries. Again, you will see exceptions. Someone will get 65K, someone will get 115K, but most of you gonna get 70 to 100K salaries. I'm gonna talk about the salaries and the cities and the states in more details later. Now, besides the salaries in full-time, 70 to 100K, 50% will find a contract job where you're being paid per hour. So per hour it's going to be $35 to $50 per hour. We're going to teach you how to get both jobs, contract or full-time. You'll be able to get both of them. You can get contract and then full-time. You can get full-time and then switch to maybe more high-paying contract. It really depends on the situation, what you're looking for. If you're looking for something long-term, short-term, you look for more money, or basically more responsibilities. Really depends on your situation. But again, all of you gonna get 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour once you follow the instructions. When we say that our graduates are landing those jobs in record time, we mean that it's between 1 to 4 months. Again, exception is going to happen. Someone will get it after 2 weeks. Someone will get it after 4 months and 2 weeks. But most people going to get it between 1 to 3 month job search. Usually what I see is 2 to 3 month job search. Now, please let me introduce myself. My name is Max Lubachansky. I'm the co-founder at Careerist, and I have more than 8 years of experience in software quality assurance, working at companies like Apple, Intel, and many other Silicon Valley companies. Please feel free to see my background and experience on LinkedIn. Now let's see if this course is for you. By the way, guys, you will get the video recording of today's lesson. After the lesson, it will be sent to your email. So in case you will not find it, just check your spam and promotions folder. You will see that there. Okay, so every lesson gonna be sent to you after the lesson, so you can watch it anytime that works for you. You can rewatch it, whatever works best for you. Now, regarding the chat, I know that some of you are writing questions. I recommend you to bear with us, listen carefully to the lesson. Most questions are going to be answered very soon. I promise you that. In case you're still going to have questions, we're going to answer those in the end. So, yes, it is live. And let's talk about if this course is for you. So first of all, you need to be authorized to work in the United States. It could be a green card, it could be a US citizenship, it could be any kind of work authorization that allows you to work anywhere, anytime, without limitations and without sponsorship. For example, you have EAD asylum, okay? Second, you need to be comfortable speaking English. People should understand you. You should understand others. You should not have any communication problems. People should be able to communicate with you. You should not have any communication problems with your manager, with your team. The accent doesn't matter. You can keep the accent. Nobody cares about the accent. As long as people can understand you and you can understand others, you will be fine. You want to start a career in tech because that's what you're going to get very, very soon. You're ready to accept 65 to 100K job offers? Well, we teach you how to get 70 to 100K, but sometimes exception happens and you might get 65 in one company, in other company you'll get 105, but you definitely need to be ready to accept those 70 to 100K jobs. Let's call it 65 to 100K jobs because that's the range that you will get. Again, if you don't want to get 65, it's totally fine. If you're going to ask for 70 or 80 or 90, you will get it. You just need to ask for it. Okay? But the range is around those numbers. You are looking to get a job within 2 to 4 months. That's the time of your job search. Again, if you have some responsibilities or you have some plans for the next 2 to 4 months and you plan to search for the job after that, that's fine. That's cool. You just need to understand that once you follow the instructions and you actively looking for a job, it will not take more than 2, 3, 4 months. Okay, so please keep that in mind. What you don't need any technical background. You don't need any computer science degree. You don't need any coding skills, and you don't need any specialized equipment. As long as you can watch the lesson and hear the lesson, you're good. Because whenever you're going to get the job, The company gonna send you the device. For example, if you need to test mobile phones, they will send you those devices. If you will be working with MacBook Pro, they will send you the laptop. Okay, so you definitely don't need to buy any equipment. Regarding the technical background, you don't need technical background, but you need to be just a user, right? You need to know how to use your mouse. You need to know how to go to Google, how to go to YouTube, how to restart your laptop. That's the basics that you do need to know. Okay. And of course, if you don't know it, it's okay. You can Google it and you will know it in 5 minutes. So let's talk about the salaries before I dive deeper. I want you to understand the situation of the market. So according to Glassdoor.com, which is the best website to see average salaries for different professions in the United States, the annual salary for software QA engineer in the United States is around $99,000, according to what I saw today. So we learned two things out of that number. First of all, that there is a huge demand because maybe 7-8 months ago, the average was around 68, 69, $70,000. So it jumped more than $25,000, more than $27,000. And it shows that the market is hot and there is a huge demand. By the way, whenever the average was around 70K, our graduates were making 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100K because our graduates were prepared better than the average. Their resume and LinkedIn looked better than the average. They were more confident than the average. And of course, they were prepared much better than the average to answer the interview questions and impress the hiring manager. Now, the second thing that we learn from that average that is less than 100K is that the average software QA engineer in the United States doesn't know any coding, doesn't know any automation, doesn't know any programming. How we know that? Because someone who knows programming or automation, he will not even consider to talk to anyone for less than 110, 115K. That's why all of those jobs that offer 70, 80, 90, 100K, most of those jobs will get to manual QA like you. Now you can see that there's a lot of jobs on Glassdoor.com, LinkedIn Jobs, Indeed, Dice. You will see a lot of opportunities, a lot of jobs. When you search for software QA engineering positions, you're going to see, let's say, 1, 2, 3,000 positions. When you search for QA analyst, you will see 3, 4, 5,000 positions in the big cities. Now, you can, of course, apply for both. There are different titles, different names for exactly same type of job, and you will be able to apply for maybe 10, 15 different titles, which are going to talk about exactly same type of job. We will teach you how to do that. Now, 80% of the jobs going to ask you in the job description for more experience, more tools, more knowledge, let's say automation, Selenium, Python, and stuff like that. Now, someone who knows it will never even talk to anyone for less than 110, 115K. That's why those jobs that offer 70, 80, 90, and 100K eventually will hire someone like you. So let's assume that 80% of the jobs going to ask you for more. 65, 70% of those eventually will hire manual QA like you. How we know that? We see that every single day now. We have graduates getting jobs literally every single day now. Only for the past 4 months, more than 200 graduates got jobs in 38 states. So we definitely know what we're talking about. All you need to do is just to follow the instructions and get those jobs. Now, let's talk about the benefits of QA jobs. First of all, it's very easy to learn, no programming skills needed, and soon you'll witness what we do at work, and things gonna become much more clear. The compensation is very good. 70 to 100K is awesome. Many QA jobs opening, definitely a lot of jobs, as I mentioned before, on the job search boards, a lot of opportunities across the country. And you know what? You can work remotely. So it doesn't matter where you are in the United States. You can apply everywhere. We have people from Texas working in Illinois, from Illinois working in California, from California working in Washington State, from Washington State working in New York, okay, and vice versa. So you have much more opportunities than ever before, and it's awesome. You save time, effort, gas. You can work from home, spend more time with your family, travel more. Definitely amazing. You don't, excuse me, guys. You don't need you don't need any computer science degree, of course, and it's QA considered one of the happiest jobs in the US. If you Google it, Forbes happiest jobs QA, you will be able to find it. Just because it's simple, stress-free, great compensation, IT is definitely a great opportunity. It's actually what brought me into QA. I read this article from Forbes about QA being one of the happiest jobs, and that's how I got into QA. And I'm really happy I did. So it's also your shortcut for a tech job, and you will have a lot of opportunities for career growth. So regarding the career growth, you basically have three options. One option is just to do manual QA for many more years, making 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour. That's one option. You're going to be doing it for many years. You're going to be happy, and that's one option. The other options, if you want to grow, are first of all, you can become more technical. You can learn coding, which is going to be complicated. For example, Python. You will learn automation, algorithms, different tools. It will not be simple. It's going to be complicated, sophisticated, and it's definitely not for everyone, because manual QA is definitely for everyone. Automation is not for everyone. So manual QA everyone can do. Automation, 80% will have challenges learning or doing it. Because we are very transparent, we are telling you how things are in the real world. So I recommend to stay away from automation until you get your manual QA job. Once you get your manual QA job, you definitely should explore automation. You should give it a chance. And I'm sure that if you're going to be dedicated, motivated, and focused, you will be able to learn it in minimum 4 months. And it's going to be much more complicated than manual testing. Of course, being more complicated, you will be able to make more compensation. So instead of 70 to 100K in automation, you can make 110 to 180K. But 80% will not be able to do it, will not be able to learn it, will not be able to understand it. So it's definitely not for everyone. Now, those of you that are less technical and still want to grow, you have this opportunity if you choose to go into leadership, to become a QA lead or a QA manager. You'll have more responsibilities, more meetings, more calls, and eventually, when you have more responsibilities, you have more compensation in most cases. So in leadership, you will be able to do 90 to 180K as well. Now remember, I told you that we have different job titles for same kind of job. I will give you an example. When I worked at Intel, my job title was software test engineer. When I worked at Apple, my title was software QA engineer of second degree. When I worked at Uyala, it was senior functional tester. When I worked at QVC, it was QA analyst or QA tester. When I worked at DAP Digital, it was software QA engineer. So different titles, but guess what? I was doing exactly the same type of job everywhere. Doesn't matter how was the name of the title. I was doing same manual testing, black box, functional testing that you guys going to be doing and that all of our graduates are doing. And of course, I was getting 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour, like you guys gonna get. And yes, we have different titles that gonna be doing exactly same type of job. Okay, it could be quality assurance engineer, software test engineer, software QA engineer, QA analyst, QA tester, manual tester, functional tester, UI tester, test analyst, quality engineer, and many other names as well that you will be able to apply for. And of course, get the job and do the job after this program. You will be able to apply for all of those. Now, QA course by Careerist. You get intensive practical training from industry experts. It's going to be Zoom lessons. You'll be able to watch the lesson, ask your questions in the chat. If you cannot watch it live, you can watch the video recording and it's going to be sent to you. You're going to have also internship and references that will improve your resume at the end of the course, because nowadays nobody really wants to hire anyone without experience, without on-hand experience. And that's why we're going to make sure that you will get internship and references once you graduate the educational part. The 1 month program, you will be able to join the internship. It's going to be remote. You don't need to go anywhere. You can do it from home and you don't need to do it all day long. All you need is just 2 hours a day, at least for 2 weeks. If you wish to do more than 2 hours and more than 2 weeks, you are welcome. You actually can be part of the you can be part of the internship until you get the job. So basically, let's say you look for the job a month, 2 or 3, maybe even 4, your job search, your experience will grow together with your job search, which is definitely awesome. And of course, we see people getting jobs all the time, even with 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks or 2 month experience, you still can get 70 to 100K jobs when you apply for junior or mid-level positions, and you will be able to apply for both of those after the internship. You will be able to get 70 to 100K salaries. And yes, I know that for some of you, it sounds weird that a junior position going to pay you 70, 80, 90, and 100K, but welcome to our world. That's what happens. That's the salaries. That's the ranges. Okay? Assistance with applying for jobs, it's something that we also gonna provide you. If you gonna need that help, we will be able to apply for jobs for you with our job application services, which are gonna be free for all of you during the first month. If you will need it for more than a month, it's gonna be paid, but again, only if you're gonna need it. For example, you have a lot of jobs, a lot of kids, and you don't have time to apply, we're going to offer you this solution from job application services, applying for jobs for you. The first month, of course, is going to be free for all of you. If you would like to continue using the job application services, it's going to be around $599 a month. But you don't need, you can get the job even without it. You will be able to apply for jobs by yourself just by following the instructions. You will have convenient online sessions. As I said, it's going to be in Zoom. You can ask your questions, get your answers. And at the end of the course, once you're going to graduate the program and join the internship. At the end of the internship, you will get your mentor that will work with you one-on-one and will make sure that you are following the instructions, that you sound good, that you're confident, and that you get all the support and help that you need. After, the mentor will make sure that you're confident, that you sound good, that you're prepared well. We will help you with the resume, with the LinkedIn, with all the instructions and the support and help with the job interview preparation. And basically, once you have your resume, your LinkedIn, and we made sure that you are prepared and you can start your job search, you will start your job search, and in 1, 2, 3, sometimes up to 4 months, you will be able to get a lot of calls, a lot of interviews, and of course, if you're going to be prepared, you're going to get a job offer. That's how it works. Let me introduce you our instructors. We have Patrick Sibentel, a software QA engineer at Google, Facebook, and actually I work with Patrick at Intel, so he definitely was around with more than 6 years of experience in QA. We have Lana Levinson, senior software developer in test with more than 8 years of experience in quality assurance. We have Ignacio Britos, QA manager, QA engineer with over 14 years of experience working at Intel, Eventbrite, and many others. We have Hezron Padlan, QA lead with over 12 years of experience working at Google, AT&T, Bank of America. We have Olga Chabanova with over 5 years of experience working at Magic Leap, Facebook. We have Nick Haradze with over 6 years of experience in quality assurance. We have Alex Hostovich with over 7 years of experience in QA, working as QA manager. We have Vitaly Yerokhin with more than 7 years of experience in quality assurance. We have Sofia Tsapchuk with over 8 years of experience in quality assurance, working for various companies, including Ring Central. We have me, Max Lubachansky, with over 8 years of experience working at Apple and Intel. We have Maria Navarrete with over 14 years of experience in quality assurance. And today you're going to meet Yuri Sokolov with over 8 years of experience in quality assurance, QA lead at Google in Mountain View, California. And you're going to meet him very soon. He's going to take care of the second part of the lesson. After his part, I will join to answer all of your questions. Now, our graduates work for some of the world's most innovative companies like Uber, Apple, Facebook, Slack, Amazon, Samsung, Groupon, AT&T, Google, Salesforce, CBS, Boeing, Chase, Intel, Visa, Verizon, Walt Disney, Snapchat, Dell, Nike, and many, many others that you heard of and many others that you never heard of. And we are very proud of that. We have already graduates working in 38 states. just maybe a year ago, it was 25 states. Now it's 38 states, and we are super proud of it. That's the map where our graduates are already working. And we just had New Mexico joining the list. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter where you are on that map. You can get 70 to 80K, 35 to 40 per hour. Now, if you apply in the big cities that I'm going to mention now, you can get up to 50 per hour, up to 100K per year. For example, if you apply for in New York, in New Jersey, in Chicago, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in LA, you definitely can make 50 per hour. You can make 100K in manual functional testing after this course. And of course, we see that all the time. And we also see exceptions. For example, if the average salary in Florida is 70 to 80K in QA, we have graduates making sometimes 90K and 100K and 110K. If in Texas, the average is 70 to 80K, we had someone who got 90, and 95. If the average, I don't know, in Cincinnati is supposed to be 70 to 80, we just had someone who got 115. So again, exceptions gonna happen. But overall, everywhere, 70 to 80K you definitely can get. In the big cities, you can even get more. You can get 90, you can get 100K, you can get 45 to 50 per hour in the big cities for sure. So what we actually do at work. I'm sure that some of you are wondering, and I would love to share my screen and show you what we actually do at work. Let me just share my screen. Boom. So I will show you an example. Let's see. Okay, so let's just look on the website. Okay, any website. So what we do is, I will actually explain you what we do. So let's imagine we have a mobile application like a weather app, dating app, or Gmail app, whatever application on your phone. It could be, or a website like google.com, yahoo.com, or careerist.com. Someone designed that application, someone implemented the design, created the application, like the developer, and we QA people come just to make sure that everything looks, works, and feels good according to the requirements, according to the specs, according to the design, according to what supposed to be. Okay, so whenever we see mismatch between actual and expected behavior, we create bug reports, send it to developers. Developer fix those problems, hopefully, and later we double check that those issues were fixed. So we don't fix problems, we report problems. Okay, our job is to report problems and later making sure that those problems were fixed. So whenever we start testing, first of all, we start with requirements. Now, in this example today, we don't have requirements to double check and basically compare, but you're definitely going to have, in most cases, during the job, just requirements. Somebody will tell you, hey, the text supposed to be like this, the image is supposed to be like that, and you just compare how it's supposed to be and what is actually there. After you're done with that, or you don't have those requirements on hand, you just start testing. Two things. First thing is the functionality, how things work. That's the most important. So for example, if we go to this website, you see the website loads. That's great. That's functionality. And it's definitely great that it loads the page or loads the app. If it was crashing, it would be a functional issue that we would like to report. Now you see we have the Shop Now button over here, and I expect that once I click the Shop Now button, it will take me to the Shop Now page. But when I click it, nothing happens. You know why? Because it's a functional issue. There is a problem here. The link is not active, it's disabled, is missing. So when I click Shop Now, it doesn't take me anywhere. That's a functional issue that we would like to report. After, let's say we're going to test another functionality. If we have a website, you see we have the drop-down menu. It's supposed to drop down. If it doesn't, it's a functional issue. If it does, it's great. It works. You see? Awesome. Now, we can have another functionality. For example, this video. We can check if it plays, if it scrolls. Okay, this is the functionality. Awesome. So functionality looks good. The functionality is basically making sure that the buttons take you to the right pages, the navigation, the menu takes you to the right links, that everything opens, everything closes, and everything works as expected. That's functionality. The second thing that we test after functionality, after functional testing, is how things look. Okay, so we first of all test how things work and then how things look. We call it UI testing, which stands for user interface, or GUI testing, which stands for graphic user interface. So for example, you see this girl, this model over here, her face is covered with that panel, or it's being cut off or truncated, however you're going to call it. Something is weird here. We definitely want to report it and see if it's supposed to be like that, because I have a feeling that it's not. It's supposed to show her face. Let's see another example. You see this guy on the right? It says real man's fashion. The word, the letter N being overlapped with his hand, especially when you hover the mouse, you see it moves and hides the N letter. So we call it overlapping. Whenever one image is hiding another image, we call it overlap, and it's also a problem that we can report. I'm sure that you saw before something like this. You see, whenever a button being overlapped by text, or a text being overlapped by a button, okay? I'm sure that you saw it before, so you're familiar with overlapping. Another example of UI issue is whenever something is inconsistent. You see, for example, this model, when we hover the mouse, it changes to the blue cover. Here, it's also remains the same image with this blue background. When we hover the mouse over to the third model, you will see that the image changes. So it's inconsistent behavior that we definitely want to report. Okay, so that's the type of issues that we are usually seeing. Or another example, whenever something is misaligned, like those checkboxes, they don't appear on the same line. It's weird, it's strange, it's misaligned. Those fields are misaligned. Okay, it's supposed to be aligned to each other. So that's the type of issues that we find. I will show you example of how we report those problems. So let's assume that the requirement tells you that you have 2019 models of Cyan, Toyota Yaris, Toyota 86 FRS, and Toyota Corolla. You have 2019 models. And whenever we start to compare the requirements to what is actually there, we find out that it shows 2020 Corolla instead of 2019 Corolla. Okay, it's just an example of an issue that you potentially could find. So the requirements tell you about 2019 models, but the actual website shows you a different number. For example, 2020 Corolla. Now, in this case, what you want to do is you want to write a bug report. First of all, you do a screenshot. On the MacBook, you just click Command-Shift-4. It will allow you to choose the area that you want to highlight. For example, this part. Boom. Once I select it, it's going to be saved on your desktop so you can upload it to your bug report. If you're using Windows, you can click Search, Start menu, Search, Snipping tool, and you will be able to create screenshot easily on Windows as well. Or you can just Google how to create a screenshot on the device that you have, or the Windows or Mac OS that you have, and it will explain you in steps how to do that. Now let me introduce you to the most popular bug tracking system in the world that all of you are going to practice during the course, called Jira. All you need to know now is just this one single button called Create. Once we click it, it allows us to fill out the form of the bug report. First thing, we write the project name. Let's call it demo because we practice. Then we have issue type, which is bug report. That's what we do. As manual QA, we write bug reports. And now we're going to write the summary. Summary is basically the title. It should be short and informative and should show everyone what and where is the problem. So the problem is the 2020 Corolla hatchback should be 2019. How are we going to write that? So to save time, I already fill out this form. We're going to write homepage 2020 Corolla hatchback should be 2019. Description with steps to reproduce actual and expected behavior. So we're going to write the link where it is reproducible, go to this link, observe 2020 Corolla hatchback, actual 2020, expected 2019. Okay, you don't need to have a PhD in English literature to be able to write those very simple steps. Priority, how important the problem to the business, to the company. We're going to call it high because we definitely care about our customers and we want them to get the correct model, year, and prices. So we definitely want to have accurate information over there. So we're going to choose the priority high. Again, after first weeks at work, you will know what is high, what is low, what is lowest, what is highest. Really, it depends on the culture of the company. In many cases, during the course, you will understand better how to prioritize your tasks and your tickets. So, environment is basically where the issue was reproducible. For example, on MacBook, which version, which browser, if it's Windows, which browser, which machine, if it was on Android or iOS, which build, which device, okay? And of course, attachments with the screenshot and video recordings if needed. Remember, I created a screenshot, so I can click the browse and I can choose that screenshot from my desktop. It will be uploaded to that ticket. Then we have assignee, basically who's going to take care of the problem. For example, let's choose my name, but in your scenario, you will work with 1, 2, or 3 developers. One will work on mobile, one will work on web, one will work on front end, one will work on back end, and you will know exactly who gonna be taking care of that issue. After the first days or weeks at work, you will know who to assign the ticket to. So long story short, project name, issue type, which is bug report, title, which should be short and informative, should show everyone what and where is the problem, description with steps to reproduce actual expected behavior, priority, environment, screenshot or video if necessary, and assignee. Then we click the create button and boom, we just created our first bug report. That's how it looks. This is the title, this is the description, the environment, assignee, reporter, attachment that I just created. And if needed, you can add some comments. Once we click the attachments, you will be able to see the problem. Our job is to make life easier for developers. So when they're going to see the screenshot, they will understand right away where is the problem. Although it was very, very straightforward from the title. Now, I hope it was not complicated for you guys because that's pretty much what we do at work. Just wanted to show you the Glassdoor so you can see that the average is around $99,000 and the range is between 70 to 100K for those type of jobs. Also wanted to show you the article from Forbes about QA being one of the happiest jobs, and another article that I love about QA called 9 Reasons Manual Testing Will Always Be in Demand. It will also answer many of your questions. Awesome. Regarding the job search, you will see a lot of jobs, as I said before. When you look for software QA engineer, you will see, let's say, 3,000 positions. When you search for QA analyst, you will see even more positions. It doesn't matter where you are across the big cities, New York, Chicago, Seattle. Just choose any big city, you will see a lot of jobs there. Definitely check it out after the lesson. You can look for both QA analyst, software QA engineer. Of course, some of the jobs going to be not relevant, but it's totally fine. It shows you the situation on the market, and you don't need all jobs to be 100% fit to you. All you need is just to get one job, and you will definitely get it if you following the instructions. So let me get back to our presentation. Boom. Awesome. So guys, that's the type of job we are doing. Hope it was not complicated. Hope that it was very straightforward, because I think it's super straightforward. It's very simple. And yes, that's what we are being paid, 70 to 100K, $35 to $50 per hour. Now, I want you to understand that there is no problem doing the job. You saw the job. This is very simple. There is no problem doing the job. The problem is getting the job. And that's why we are here for, to help you get those jobs. Being prepared well, impress the hiring manager, get your 70 to 100K without wasting your time, without wasting your effort. It's going to be 4-week online program of the educational part. Then you're going to have another 2 weeks of the internship, which also going to be remote. And once you're done with the internship, you'll have one-on-one sessions with the mentors that gonna support you and guide you regarding your next steps, prepare you for the interview, make sure that you sound good, that you have the correct resume, LinkedIn, and you're ready to pass the interview and get the job. If needed, you will be able to use the job application services. First month going to be free for everyone. If you're going to need it for more than that, you have the option to purchase that. The lesson is going to be Sunday to Thursday. We will send you the syllabus, the curriculum with the dates and the hours. The lesson is going to be from Sunday to Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. In case you cannot watch it live, it's okay. You can always watch the video recording that's going to be sent to you after the lesson. We're going to send you the link to the syllabus, to the curriculum, with all the different topics that we're going to cover over there. I can tell you that we're going to teach you there what you need. What you don't need, we're not going to teach you. So just focus, listen. Probably 80 to 90% of what you learn, you will never need at work. I can promise you that. But it might be asked during the interviews. So you learn it to get the job, to pass the interview, to impress the hiring manager. After you get the job, 80%, 90% of what you learned, you can forget, because you will never need it at work. Of course, to be better professional, to be a good professional, it's good to learn much more than you need about the theory, about the terminology, about different types of testing that you will never need. But it's good for you to be a better software QA engineer, to be aware of those. So the job is much more simple than what you learn, because you learn it mostly to pass the interview. The actual job going to be different. We are very transparent. That's why we are telling you how things are in the real world. So we're going to take care of how to write test cases, how to execute test cases, how to write bug reports, how to use different platforms, how to test different platforms and devices, web, mobile, how to install, uninstall applications with Xcode and Android Studio, basic Linux commands, ADB commands, basic SQL and API that 95% of you will never need at work, but going to be asked during 3 out of 10 interviews, just basic questions during the interview. We're gonna also teach you different tools. We're gonna talk about Chrome Dev tool. We're gonna cover a lot of different other topics as well. How to use browser stack. We're gonna have a lot of different testing web, testing mobile, and you'll be able to watch the whole list of the syllabus of the curriculum in the link that's going to be sent to you. If we're not going to teach you something, it means that you definitely don't need it for manual testing. Now, I already told you about the job application services. It's going to be completely free for everyone. We will apply for jobs for you, up to 30 positions per day. And it will help you to get even more calls, more interviews, and more job offers. we see that our graduates are getting even more jobs with that service, and that's why we decided to give it for free for everyone for the first month. If you're going to need it for longer, it's your decision, but I can tell you that you definitely can get a job even without using this service if you apply by yourself. If you don't have time to apply by yourself, you definitely want to use job application services to get more calls, more interviews, and eventually job offers. Because if you want to get the job, you need to follow the instructions, and one of the instructions is to apply for jobs. If you're not going to apply for jobs, nobody's going to call you. That's why you want to apply for jobs, or at least if you cannot apply for jobs, you want some other people to apply for you. Awesome. Now, guys, I want to invite you to join our course that started today. And we're going to have the second lesson tomorrow. And you are very welcome to join the program and to get those jobs very, very soon. So I just remind you that during the lesson, you will have the link below, get contract and invoice. You click the get button and you will be able to choose the option that works best for you, fill out the form and get a call from us in case that you need any help or assistance, and of course get the contract and the options that you prefer. Awesome. Now, guys, let me introduce you our instructor for today, Yuri Sokolov from Google in Mountain View, California. He's a QA lead, and I believe that he is with us right now. Yuri, how are you? The class is all yours.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? So happy to see you guys here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Yuri Sokolov, and I've been working as a quality assurance engineer for more than 8 years now. I worked for various different companies in Silicon Valley, worked for startups, I worked for big tech. I worked a few projects as a manual QA engineer at Google, and I worked as a automation engineer and QA lead as Google as well. So feel free to ask any questions, like make this session interactive. Feel free to use the chat room and ask any questions about the subject of your work, subject of our class today. Okay.
I just wanted to add really quick that questions regarding the lesson you can ask Yuri, but questions regarding the course I will answer at the end of the lesson. I will answer the course related questions. Thank you and see you soon.
Max, thank you. Awesome. All right, so let's continue. All right, so let's talk about what is quality assurance. So right now we'll start with our introduction into QA, introduction into testing. I'll tell you what is the difference, what we do at work, and we will take a dive into a bit of theory here, okay? So what is quality assurance? Quality assurance generally is a broader term about monitoring the quality of process to ensure that eventually we end up with a good quality product. Now let's take a step back from the software. Let's not even talk about software yet. Let's imagine, I don't know, anything but the software, like a factory that produces chairs, right, or furniture. So let's imagine we're all working at the factory that produces chairs, furniture, tables, whatever, desks. The way the production works is there is a business idea of developing a chair. Let's say it's a chair or a table, something like that. So first, the way it's been implemented, they would come up with a blueprint, right? So the engineers, will come up with a blueprint of a chair. Then this blueprint will be taken to a prototyping facility where they will build a prototype. Okay, and then before they will move it to mass production, someone needs to test the product, right? So someone needs to sit on a chair, try to break the chair, jump on the chair to make sure that whatever the product we build will eventually not break the first day, will satisfy our clients, will do exactly what our clients expect, and is generally going to be durable. After the testing, so after we test the chair, we say that, okay, this chair is ready to be mass produced. So quality assurance is the process of monitoring during every stage and every phase of development, starting with prototyping. So everything about quality is accounted for when engineers create prototype, architects create the blueprint. Then the engineers create the prototype, and then testers, that's the reactive part of quality assurance, which we call testing. Then they test it. They verify that whatever procedures that were produced during that period, right, eventually ended up with a good result. Same thing works in software development. Absolutely the same approach works in software development. So in software development, if the company decides to add a new feature, or a new screen, or a new web page, it doesn't matter, or a new, device, it works absolutely the same way. So someone designs it, someone develops it, someone tests it, and then we release it to the customers. The quality assurance process, it's a broad process of monitoring software development procedures to ensure the quality. So guys, SQA, which stands for software quality assurance, is preventative. So it analyzes the whole process of software development, which includes the requirements design, development, testing, release deployment, and maintenance. All right? Okay, so all this is called quality assurance. Now, quality assurance is supposedly that something every department should perform or should take a part of. However, in IT companies, it is not such a thing. There is no quality control department, and QA technically is not a part of the development department as well. No, QA department is a separate department in any IT company, in most of the IT companies, which consists of software testers, quality assurance engineers, software developers and test, automation testers. So all the people who are ensure the physical testing or somehow participate in the testing of a product are considered QA engineers. They are considered the QA department. Any questions about it, or so far so good, guys? If you have any questions, let me know, okay? If you don't have any questions, I can continue, but please keep your questions, close to the discussion. Awesome, cool, let's continue. So let's conclude one thing, which is important. It is not possible to create an error-free software, or what we call a bug-free software, okay? The reason for it is because whenever you play with the mobile application, or you go to the website, or you go to the you use any type of a software, right? In the background, thousands and thousands of developers or hundreds of developers keep changing the code. They keep changing, implementing new stuff, adding new stuff, changing the features. And so it's constantly changing. So when software is constantly changing, due to those changes, there are always going to be issues, meaning that some code won't work, some issues will arise from two different parts of the application, and so on. So it's ongoing job to keep our software to a stable level of quality, or like to acceptable level of quality. So guys, it is not possible to create an error-free software. So the job of software quality assurance engineers is to minimize the number of bugs. And the bug is a slang of an error, of a glitch, of a problem, to an acceptable level. Now let's talk about the testing. So we talked about quality assurance. Quality assurance is really broad, generic term for a lot of different things, which most people don't even know what they do. Anyway, let's talk about testing. Testing is a functional part of quality assurance. So we determine that the end result is what we expected. When QA engineers have our hands on to the physical software that we need to test, right? So what we do, we compare the expected result. For example, what it is in our documentation. Let's say let's say in my documentation, I have a button and the color of a button should be yellow, right? That's pretty logical. So when I test the software, I expect this button to be yellow. And if it's not yellow for some reason, what it is? It's a mismatch between expected and actual result. And we treat it as a bug. And we file exactly what Max showed you like a few minutes ago. We file a bug report. So when software engineers, the software testers test the product, we always look for the defects. We look for something that doesn't look right, doesn't work right, doesn't feel right, because it's our job. We need to maintain the quality of our software to a certain level. So various methods and techniques are used to test the product. Now we will talk about a few of them today, okay? But the main point is we need to look for the issues and then report them. And the software engineers are responsible for fixing them and to make sure that all the issues are addressed and everyone's happy. Guys, do you have any questions about software testing and quality assurance so far? Joseph asked the question, what is a test plan document? It's an amazing question. We will cover it in our lesson number 3, not now. Thank you. All right, so now let's talk about the techniques. Remember, I told you that there are various techniques companies and QA engineers do when they test the product. It is absolutely true. So let's start with the manual testing. Manual testing requires a tester to play the role of an end user to check the quality of the software. What it means? It means that any of us can go to a website and try to look for issues, right? We use our heads, we use our eyes, we use our hands, brains to verify that something is working, something works or something doesn't work, okay? Because that is the point of a manual tester. We verify that the application is working correctly manually. Sometimes we create so-called test scenarios or test cases and execute them by following one by one, and then we see the difference between the expected and desired results. For example, step number 1, go and check this click on this link, verify that this link takes us to this web page. And this is the expected result. If we see that the for some reason link doesn't work, if we treat it as a bug, we create a bug report. If there is a problem, so if there isn't any difference between the desired result, we treat it as a defect or bug. Okay? So a bug report is created like what we just did by the tester and sent to developer who fixes them. So then the testers, our job is to retest the software and to make sure that the bugs were actually fixed. So defects, all the defects have been fixed. There are no problems and everything works as expected. And a lot of you may have questions like, well, it seems like, not really efficient way to check everything manually. And just give me a few minutes. I'll explain why exactly this is still a thing and why manual testers are being paid so well. So manual testers are we're participating in all the stages, all the stages of software development to ensure that our company creates a good quality product. Okay, guys, do you have any questions about manual testing so far? All right, so let's continue. Now, so let's talk about when do we absolutely need manual testing. So far, manual testing is the fastest way to analyze requirements and test the software. Why? Because human brain is, for now, is the easiest, the most efficient instrument in reading the requirements. So it will take us only 30 seconds to read the page with instructions. And to follow them, it's going to be another 30 seconds. So realistically, in 1 minute, we can manually test any product we like, right? If you have instructions and if we know what to do. It is the easiest and the fastest way to test something, right? So testing newly developed features and functionality of an application. Guys, companies these days, they are really, really fast-paced. So Facebook, all the IT companies, they do not like to spend too much time on testing. They basically say, okay, we about to release a new feature, let's say add a new filters to our Instagram, or add a new web page or functionality or something like that. And they say, we don't have a month to test. We don't even have 2 weeks to test. Please, guys, just do your best in 3 days because we need to release ASAP. Okay? Because it's a competitive market. It's not like it was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, companies would take a year to release a software, right? These days they don't have that much. These days the software releases happen every week or every 2 weeks. That's just the reality. Okay, Chris made a valuable suggestion. How about we just use civilians to test the app? Good job, Chris. It's called beta testing, and it's actually pretty widely used by companies. However, beta testing takes a lot of time because the way the adoption rate works for beta testers, it's much, much longer than what people who work in the company can test manually within 3 days. For beta testers, it takes much, much longer. However, it is widely used method of testing as well. We will talk about it later during the lesson number 2, I think. So please show up. Right? So another point where manual testing is important is where testing requires a human judgment. As we understand, humans are, we can easily distinguish things that are right from things that are wrong, especially if we're trained to do so. It is, for us, it's really easy to do just because we have that ability. That's why human judgment is another valuable point in deciding of what is the testing technique we want to take. Okay. And as we see, manual testers participate in the entire testing process of a product. If you can see numbers 1 through 6, that's exactly what we do throughout the release of software in any company. All right, so let's continue to the next slide. By the way, guys, if you still haven't enrolled, please click on the button and sign up for the course. It's going to be an amazing course. We'll teach you a lot of stuff. Now, let's talk about automation testing. Let's talk about automation testing. So we talked, remember I told you about the different techniques. So testing, it has, dozens and dozens and different techniques that everyone can use and the companies can accommodate and so on. So automation or automated testing, it's another popular testing technique these days. So there are a lot of myths about automation testing. So I will try to answer questions. By the way, guys, if you have questions about automation, manual testing, feel free to ask them. I'll explain you the difference, and I'll try to explain you, because there are so many misconceptions about what these things are. So let's start first with what is automation testing. Automation testing is a technique that basically involves execution of test cases using automated software tools. Remember, I told you that manual QA engineers, they create test scenarios or test cases, which are technically serve as a test documentation for us. For example, go to this page, click on this button, verify that clicking on this button does that, or verify clicking on this button does this. It's very straightforward. It's a short stories. Okay. So manual QA engineers, we write those test cases manually, and we can manually execute them. What automation testers do, they convert those manual test cases into scripts. And they also identify which scripts can be automated, which scripts cannot. And then they basically automate those scripts so they can be run automatically. So technically, automation testers or automation QA engineers, they're not really testers per se. They're just people who know the code and scripts to a certain extent, so they can basically transfer manual test cases to automation. Both of those techniques, manual and automation testing, they are both amazing techniques, and they're both, in combination, they can do really amazing things. So let's take a look at pros and cons of automation testing. So pros, automation testing, it saves time by running repetitive test cases multiple times a day. As you can imagine, human beings, we are, extremely efficient if we need to do a certain task, right? But when we need to repeat certain tasks, if we are basically asked to do repetitive tasks many times a day, we can be less efficient. We may start losing things. We may start missing things. So if the same task need to be run multiple times a day, automation will help us in this case, because it will constantly check for the same thing many times a day, and it never gets tired, right? So automation can be faster, right? Technically, it can be slower and can be faster. So it can, the test cycles may allow testers to identify errors much more quicker. For example, you can run automated tests at night. While QA department sleeps, you can run your tests at night, and in the morning, you already will have some form of results. That's amazing. So provides more accurate results by eliminating the possibility of human error. Human error is a thing, and it can be basically there. There's no way to get around this. All right, so let's talk about the cons. The cons of automation testing, it relies on manual testing, which are then automated. So that's the major con. In order to automate something, QA engineer basically needs to have a manual tester already creating a test plan for them before that. Okay. Automation testing is really, really time consuming. Guys, believe me, someone who worked as a manual QA engineer and automation QA engineer, I can tell you that for me to automate one test, it may take, I don't know, 2 days. And then it will take me another 2 days to debug it. And then God knows how many days I will have to basically stabilize it. So it's really, really time consuming effort. Same test manual QA engineer will execute in 2 minutes. That is the trade-off. The question is automated testing used more of a maintenance test? No, not really. Automation testing is it's the same part of testing efforts, which is a manual. It may be done and structured separately or during the different times, but it's definitely not just a maintenance test. In fact, it may be like the first test the software receives. So it's going to be automated testing and then the manual, or the vice versa. It really depends on how company sets up their efforts. Okay, so and the final thing, the automation testing only identifies errors it's specifically programmed to look. This is a good one because you need to understand. For example, I need to test, I don't know, a search field, right? I would need to test the search field. So I go manually, go and look for the search field. But for some reason, I see that the logo is missing, right? That the search field works all right, but the logo is missing, which is not part of my test. As a manual QA engineer, as a human being, I will notice stuff like that and I'll file the bug, right? But as an automation test is only designed to look for things it is designed to look for, if that makes sense. If it's designed to look for, I don't know, search field, it will look for search field. It won't look at the missing icon. So automation test only identifies things it is programmed to identify. Does it make sense, guys? Do you have any questions about this website? Website? So the question is, are both manual testers and automation testers are available for a single project? It is really depends on the way the QA process is built. If your company will have both departments, manual QA and automation, they will both work on a single product, most likely. They will kind of like complete each other and basically to try to help each other to produce a better quality, if that makes sense. All right, guys. So important part. Remember, I told you that there are more than 50 different subtypes of testing. Why do we have more than 50 subtypes of testing? Is because the testing is not that old. The testing, actually the idea and the concept of testing, I mean, it's pretty old, but the software testing is not that old. Only like maybe 50 or so years ago, like the major companies like IBM, Microsoft, Apple, Cisco, old ones, they would have software engineers. They didn't have QA engineers back then, because they didn't have QA department back then. They would have software engineers, and software engineers would develop their product, and the software engineers would then be responsible for testing the product. Eventually, when the code would become more complex and the product would become more complex, and they would start developing more and more software tools and applications, they realized that it's not really efficient to use software developers, coders, for testing, because testing basically needs like another full-time job. It's a full-time job, testing. So they will start picking software engineers that are more interested in testing, and within the companies, within those teams. So those software engineers would start to come up with their own strategies and techniques and books and guidelines on how to test. But it was not centralized. It was not structured. IBM would have their own book on how to test the software. Cisco would have their own book on how to test the software. Microsoft would have their own book on how to test, and so on. And eventually, we ended up with those like 50 or 60 or even 100 different subtypes of testing written by different people for different companies. Essentially, they would all mean similar things, and they will all conclude pretty much same things, right? But if you would go to Amazon and will start searching for QA handbook, or a book on QA, or good luck finding the right one. There are hundreds of them. There are hundreds of editions of them, and I really do not recommend you buying any of them for now, because they're just different opinions, different looks by different engineers on the same concept, and it's not necessary. This whole thing, it's much simpler than it sounds. Some people try to look at books definitions to make it sound more sophisticated, more complex. It is not. It is pretty basic. The whole concept is basic. Don't look for books. Don't try to read the websites. Forget about it. You will dig yourself into the hole, and good luck trying to get out of it. So let's talk about those types that are widely acceptable by everyone, and they are there for everyone to use. Types of testing. So I will read the definition, and then I'll explain what it means. So black box, white box, and gray box testing. Black box testers examine the functionality of an application without having access to the source code. Manual testing, whatever the testing we will try to teach you during this first course, is going to be most likely called black box. Why? Because we will not be using the code in order to test something. Okay, so we will be working with the product as a customers. We're not going to be reading the code, using the code. It's not our purpose. It's not required. So that's what's called the black box testing. In white box testing, the tester designs additional tests based on the analysis of the source code. So white box testers, they are the testers that know how understand, read the code, how to build the tests based on knowing how to read the code, and so on. Some forms of automation testing are considered white box testing. It's a totally different concept. It's a totally different niche. So, but you need to know the definition. You need to know the difference. So there's something you guys need to memorize at this point. Just learn. Gray box testing is a combination of both black box and white box. For example, I'll give you an example, practical example. Let's say I need to test if I can able to I don't know, create an account, right? Create an account in I don't know, Gmail, whatever, right? Gmail. I need to create an account in Gmail. There's a black box way to test it, right? And the black box way would be to go as a person, human being, to go to the Gmail website, type in registration email, type in registration password, finalize the registration. I didn't pick at the code. It showed me the registration confirmation screen, and that's it. I'm done. But if I have, let's say, access to the database, if I work for the company and I have access to the database and I know how to use it, after verifying through the interface that I'm actually registered, I can go and perform an additional test by doing the query into the database, because we all know when we create let's say an email address on some service, it creates a line in our database, right? So if you have an access to the database and if you know how to check it, you can go in and check with the code if this email is actually registered or not. So that's an example how gray box works. Okay. All right, guys. So let's go to the next slide. This is important. So please pay attention and let me know if something is not clear. Functional and non-functional testing. First, I'll read the definition, then I'll explain what it means, okay? So functional testing, it's testing what the software does based on its specifications. So the point of the functional testing to answer the question, what the system does. We are verifying how compliant it is with specified functional requirements. Okay? So let's imagine, I'll give you a very simple test scenario. Let's say we all work for Google search. I'm sure you know how Google search works. I'm sure you used it. So the test case is to verify the Google search works from the functional point of view. The test case will go like this. Step number one, we will go to google.com in our browser. Step number two, we would click on the search input box on the website. Yeah. Step number three, we would provide the query or some input we need to provide. For example, I don't know, how to boil an egg or some form of a query we need to provide. And then step number four, we would click on the search icon to submit our input, and then our verification or expected result, as we call it, is going to be the output from the Google, right? How do we determine that our test case worked? Like, what is our criteria, functional criteria to state that this test case passed? To my understanding, since we're doing the functional testing, we're verifying what the system does. So if I see that the Google will provide me with a list of search results, right? It would be fine. It would be my acknowledgement of a working system. Does it make sense, guys, so far? From functional point of view, does this test make sense? Yes, cool. So we tested what the system does or what the system did. Now, let's take the non-functional testing. I'll read the definition. So non-functional testing is a testing of an application or a system from non-functional requirements. How well the software functions rather than its specific behaviors. Let's take the same test case we just did, right? We would go to the Google search one, right? So, but we would check it from non-functional point of view, meaning our expectation verification would be different. However, the test would be the same. The first, we would go into google.com, we would type in the search query, we would click on the search icon, but since we're doing the non-functional testing, we're testing how well the software functions, not what it does. For example, how long does it take for Google to provide me a list of search results? It can be 2 seconds or it can be 60 seconds, right? Or how many search results does the Google provide when I submit the query? It can be 10 results or it can be 10 million results, etc., etc., etc. Do you see the difference, guys, here between two different types, two different kinds? Functional, we only care about the basically if it works or not, if it does what it's supposed to do, what it doesn't. Non-functional, it's a bit different. It's a testing basically how well the system works. And obviously there are dozens of different subtypes of these. We'll talk about them during the lesson number 2. It's not just time, it's everything you can measure. It's everything. So stress testing, load testing, there are many different types of testing which will measure how well your system performs, right? But that's the major difference, and something you need to realize, because again, it's kind of like a cornerstone of all testing methods or testing types, we can say, right? Cool. So let's continue. Now, remember I told you there are 50 plus different subtypes of testing. There are lots of them, really, really lots of them. But as a manual QA engineers, you will be performing mostly few of them. And those few are in front of you. So I will read one by one and I'll give you an example. It's something, again, I would expect you to understand, kind of like memorize. Yeah. So let's make this, it's almost like a final slide of our presentation today. So please bear with me. Let's start with exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is an approach. It's not really the type, it's an approach, software testing that focuses on discovery, learning, and investigation, and relies on creativity, experience, and intuition of an individual tester to quickly uncover defects. It is often described as simultaneous test design and execution. All right, so let me give you the example. Let me give you an example. Let's say you know nothing about quality assurance, and I will come up to you and give you a cell phone device, right? An iPhone, for example, or another mobile device with an application. Any application, let's pick Instagram, whatever. Could be Instagram, right? And I'll tell you, can you please test it? Assuming you don't know nothing about testing, how would you test it? By the way, this is the question. You can provide your assumptions or theories. What would be your approach? Not knowing anything about testing, having a mobile application in front of you, how would you test it? What would be your approach? Okay, by experience, what does it mean? play with it. Okay, so this is a great example. You will explore it, you will play with it. But why would you play with it, right? Why would you play with it? It's not you just play with it. You're exploring it. And you try to understand what is the main functionality. What are the main functionality of this application? And I can guarantee then it will take you maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes to understand the main functionality of something like Instagram. And then in your head, without any knowledge of test software techniques, without any knowledge of, testing approaches and so on, you can create a test plan in your head. You can say, okay, so the main 5 features of this application is, image editing, image posting, social features like sharing, commenting, liking, and that's it, right? Login, obviously. So realistically, in 10, 15 minutes, you'll figure out the main functionalities of an application. That's what exploratory testing is. You explore, you create your own tests, and you basically execute them in your head. And this is applicable to any application. Instagram, it was just an example. But you can take any application and you can follow this example, and you don't have to be, trained QA engineer. You don't have to know all the 50 subtypes of testing to say if your liking of an image works or it doesn't work, or are you able to leave a comment or you're not able to leave a comment. Do you need to be do you need to have a computer science degree to see that your filter is not applied or no? No. That's what exploratory testing is. Okay. Now, so far so good with exploratory testing. Everyone is on the same page. Okay, cool. So let's continue with smoke testing. It's a bit different. I'll explain. All right. So smoke testing covers the most important functionality of the software and verifies that software appears to work correctly. It precedes actual in-depth testing and aims to verify that the build is deployed successfully and that all components are running and ready for the testing process. Chris asked an amazing question. Why do they call it smoke testing? And the answer is also pretty interesting. Back in the old days of manufacturing, that's what the legend says, right? Back in old days of manufacturing, let's say 70, 100 years ago, during the factory, when like the factory would create any electronic equipment or appliance or toaster oven or something like that, refrigerator, they would have to test their appliances as well, right? And the first test they would do with the appliance, with the toaster oven, for example, they would plug it into the wall outlet. If they would see the smoke coming out of it, it means the test is failed, right? Because your toaster is on fire the first time you plug it in. That's not a good sign. The test failed. That's where the term smoke testing comes from, allegedly. Okay. So what it means in software quality assurance at this point? It means that, remember I told you how the software is being made. Software basically made by compiling hundreds and thousands lines of code into one single file, executable file, like what we have as an application on our desktop or application on our mobile device. It doesn't matter. It always like a constant, change of code, thousands lines of code. So during the development, developers create so-called versions or builds, which is sort of like a stable version of a product, of a software. Maybe you've seen, like your application has a version 1, version 2, version 3, 305, whatever. It is sort of like a set stage of a file, right? Set stage of a software. So after developers, what they do, they're called compilation. They compile all the lines of code into the one application, to the one file. So QA engineers, they have a so-called test, which is called smoke test, is when they take this new version, right? And they perform basic operations with it. And basic operations, 10, 15-minute test. Same with like we do with Instagram, for example, checking for basic main functionalities, uploading a photo, applying a filter, sharing, leaving comments, and so on. Basic stuff. Why do we do it? Because the chance of introducing a significant issue would be the highest at the point of creation of this build, at the point of the compilation. That's where if something major goes wrong, you'll see it right away. So you don't have to spend too much time on, diving deeper into testing. You do a basic check. In my cases, you will see right away if something is off. Your application will not start. It will break the computer. The phone will get caught on fire. It's going to be something obvious right away. That's why smoke testing is important. Does it make sense with smoke testing, guys? So far, so good. Right. So the main difference with smoke testing is it's when do you perform it. You perform it after the engineers change something into the build, into the code. So that's when you perform it. Okay. But it's all going to be clear during the work. It's not going to be, you'll forget the name, but that's what we usually do. Regression testing. Regression testing ensures that the new changes in the software do not break any existing functionalities. So whatever the things that used to work should be working. Some people confuse regression testing with everything else, but I'll try to provide you a really nice example. Let's say that let's imagine you work for Instagram, right? And 6 months ago, that liking of photos was working fine, because 6 months ago, let's say you released this feature when users can go and like other people's photos, and you tested it extensively, and you probably even have this case which you will eventually retest to make sure that users are still able to like other people's photos. But during this release, during this version, you go through all the test cases you need to test, and for some reason you're unable to like other people's photos, so it doesn't work. What it means that something that used to work, for the fact, doesn't work anymore. Hence the name regression. So our code regressed. That's what regression bug is. That's what regression testing is. We retest things that used to work, and we hope that they need to work, that they still need to work. If they don't work, that's what regression bug is. Okay, guys, does it clear with regression testing? Regression testing is usually done at the very end. So smoke testing we perform at the early at the first step. What we do after the build is done, it's a start, and the regression testing is done at the very end, before we would actually release the new version to our customers. That's usually the way it works. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, so I have a question. What about sanity testing? Sanity testing is, okay, great. Sanity testing is when you perform, let's say developers fixed a bug. Let's say we had a bug in our application when for some reason the filter was not being able in Instagram. I wasn't able to apply a filter, right? So there was a bug. Developers fixed that bug. So sanity testing, sanity approach would be me checking everything around that functionality to make sure that nothing else was broken and the bug is actually fixed. That's what sanity is. Regression can cover whole different types, and regression is performed during the different time. Sanity performed after developers fixed something. So maybe a bug, maybe something else. So there was a code change. And regression can be performed probably at the very end before we release, if that makes sense. All right, guys. So we are done. Congratulations. I see that so many of you still left here, and you are amazing. So congratulations. I hope you will join our lesson number 2 because we'll continue to be talking about more testing types, other stuff as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. Thank you very much. And of course, I will take it from here as I promised, and I will answer your questions. So just a final reminder, guys, you have the button below, get contract and invoice, where you can get the option that works best for you. Now, as promised, let's answer your questions. In case you're going to have a personal question, or you're going to have a question tomorrow, or anything else, you can always email advisors@careerist.com. We would love to answer all of your questions. Now, let me see your questions. I see they were highlighted to me, so let me read those. What is a test case? From Joseph. So, a test case is basically steps verifying that requirements are implemented. So, for example, if the requirement tells you that the start button on the website is supposed to be blue, the test case is going to be verify that the start button is blue. Okay, very straightforward, very simple. So basically, we double check the requirements and how it was implemented. And based on the requirements, we create test cases. Usually, someone created it before we joined the company, but in some cases, you come to the company and they tell you to write those test cases. Of course, they instruct you and show you how to do that. 60% of you will not need to do that because you'll be just working on test cases that someone created long time before you joined. When does the free month of the jobs application service start? After the course or the internship? It will start once you're going to start your job search after the internship, of course. How does this testing break down to backend, front end, or am I getting ahead of myself, or this doesn't? Okay. So manual testing, functional testing is mostly for only front end. Okay, so how things work, how things look on the front end. Back end is let's say maybe 95% of you will test only the front end. The 5% that will test the back end, they will be testing, for example, API testing, SQL testing, and we're going to teach you that as well. But 95% of you will never need it at work. It will appear, though, in 3 out of 10 interviews, some basic questions. That's why we want you to prepare for that, because sometimes it's being asked, but in 95% of the cases, you never needed at work. Okay. Can I be part of the internship for longer than 2 weeks? Yes, Link, as explained before, you can be at the internship until you get the job. Do you need to be there more than 2 weeks? I don't think so. I think you're going to waste your time and effort, because in 2 weeks you will learn everything you need. But from point of view, the experience that grows, I will recommend you to be part of the internship until you get the job. To get the actual knowledge, 2 weeks is going to be more than enough. How the internship work? So we have different projects, different internships. Some of them are web, some of them are mobile. You want to be both on web and mobile projects. You want to practice what you learned, to write these cases, execute these cases, writing bug reports, attending meetings, stand-up meetings, working in a team, knowing more about your project, about your team, about what you do at work, to know different situations that happen at work. That's what the internship is for. Just example of one of the companies that we had internship with, Verifi.com. verifi.com. That's one of the internships that we had. Now we have other companies, other internships. The purpose, the goal of the internship is for you to be more confident during the job and during the job search, because you will know what you were doing, and you will know to tell more about your job, your duties, and your team after actually doing it. What would be the format of the course going forward? So beginning lesson 2 or 3, it's going to be in Zoom. I think maybe lesson number 2 is going to be still here in Demio, but lesson number 3 going to be in Zoom. It's the format going to be watching the video lesson and asking your questions during the lesson or at the end of the lesson. Depends on the teacher, depends on the material, depends on what gonna be the subject of the lesson. Let's see. How is the format going forward for the course? Would be material provided. All you need to do is just to focus and listen carefully. That's what you want. Okay, you will get a video recording of the lesson, you will get the presentation, of course. But all you need to do is, you don't need to write anything, you don't need to note anything. All you need to do is just to focus and listen to the lesson. I promise you that what is important, we're going to talk about multiple times till the end of the course, and we will focus you on what you actually need. Does manual QA do bugs? Well, we write bugs. I don't know if we do bugs. What is the percentage of manual versus automated tester? Well, Shilpi, to be honest with you, nobody really knows. Why? Because, as I mentioned before, 80% of the jobs, they're going to ask for, let's say, automation, more experience, more tools in the job description. But eventually, around 65-70% of those jobs will get to manual QA like you. So nobody really knows the exact numbers because it's not obvious. 80% will ask for more, but eventually will hire manual QA like you. If I study on my own, can I get a job, or is a bootcamp best? So if you learn on your own, of course you can get a job. It will take you a year or 2 or 3. You'll get 25 per hour, maybe 30 per hour. But we here to save your time, to save your effort, and give you maximum rate and minimum time. That's why you will learn everything in just, I'm sorry, excuse me. I just lost my voice, I think. You will learn everything you need in just 1 month. And then in just 2-3 months, sometimes 4, you will get your 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour. Do you provide any real-time experience during the internship? Yes, of course. That's what internship is. All right. This seems like it can happen very fast, the testing. How is this a full-time job, or how many tests does this role do a day? So guys, I can tell you that because it's considered one of the most stress-free jobs, um, in many cases, you done with your tasks in 3, 4, 5 hours, and you're still being paid for 8. Of course, you're going to have some companies that are going to actually make you work for 8 hours. But in many cases, if you work efficiently, you'll be able to finish your tasks in less than 8, 7, 6 hours. Do you need to write bug reports all day? No. I think maybe you're going to write 3, 4, 5, 6 bug reports a day. Okay, so most of your day is checking your email, your messages on Slack, executing test cases, marking them pass or fail. So basically, you go by the steps that somebody wrote and you just mark it if it works or not. If it works, pass. If it's not, failed. And then you write a bug report, you assign it to developer fixes the bug, sends it back to you, and you verify the bug fix on the new version. That's your day at work. You execute these cases, mark them pass or failed, and once it's failed, you write bug reports. And after developers fix those problems, they send it back to you so you can verify the bug fixes on the new version. That's the job you're doing. How are we going to work? Is there any kind of website or application we're going to work on? Yes, of course. So, for example, if you're going to have a mobile application, you're going to test a mobile application. If you're going to have a website, you're going to test a website. Actually, you're going to have both because we want you to get experience in testing both web and mobile. 35 per hour is what I'm already doing as a quality inspector for a machine shop. How easy would it be to get $50 per hour? Well, to get 45 to $50 per hour, gonna be very simple if you just follow instructions and you focus on applying in the big cities like New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Seattle, San Jose, LA. In other areas, you can get it as well, but it's gonna be more of exception than a rule. But definitely, if you make 35 per hour right now, I don't think that you should talk to anyone for less than 45 to 50 per hour. All right. What happens when I am applying for jobs and your company will be applying on my behalf? Won't my resume get submitted more than once, possibly irritating the hiring manager? Or will you not be submitting when I'm submitting? So to fix that issue, you just let us apply in certain area and you apply in other area. For example, if you live in New York, you tell us, hey guys, apply in New York, I will apply in New Jersey or in Boston or okay. So definitely there's a lot of ways of not submitting twice, and definitely we have solution for that in order not to apply twice. By the way, we had a lot of situations when we applied for the same position weekly for let's say 3-4 times, and eventually the people, the graduate, got a job there. So it's not always a conflict, but we prefer not to apply to the same jobs twice. Awesome. So guys, please email advisors@careerist.com if you're going to have any more questions. Are these QA jobs mostly remote? Nowadays, yes, most of the jobs in QA are remote. We don't know how longer it's going to be like that, but definitely some companies going to get back to offices. Some companies going to stay working remotely. I'm more than sure that a lot of companies going to work remotely for many more years. Regarding certificates, you will get a certificate of completion at the end of the course. After the internship, you will get the certificate of completion. You will never need this certificate because nobody needs any certificates in QA in the United States. They might need it in Australia, they might need it in Belarus, they might need it in Africa, but in US you don't need any certificates in QA. Nobody gonna ask for it. What they do gonna ask is to tell about yourself, about your experience, about what you did at work, and all the things that we're gonna prepare you for. Cool. Do you require high school diploma? No, we don't. You will get a job if you don't have a high school diploma. Do we need any prerequisites for writing test cases? At work, you will get the instructions how to write it, where to write it, and you will get all these instructions. So don't worry about it. What else? Can you work two jobs in QA? Well, I definitely know people that are doing it. Internship timing will be same as class timing? No, it will be basically you will be able to set a time that works best for you with the lead of the internship. Okay. Is there going to be a mock interview? Yes, of course. That's how we're going to make sure that you are ready to pass the interview and you sound confident and you're ready to start your job search. Cool. How long after the class we can watch the replay? Guys, you will be able to watch the replay as long as you need. Be in touch with us, be nice, be friendly, follow instructions, and you will get the access as long as you need. We will get a job with 0 years of experience? Yes, of course. Because you do going to have an experience. It's going to be, for some of you, it's going to be 3 weeks. For some of you, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Some of you are going to have prior experience. You definitely will be able to get 70 to 100K after this 1 month program. To whom the test engineer reports to the QA manager. And the QA manager reports to the development manager. Really depends. Some companies it's going to be CTO, some companies it's going to be director of quality, some company it really depends on the company. But usually you report to QA lead or to QA manager. The QA manager reports to director of engineering or the development manager. Cool. How do we get a replay? Well, you will get it to your email. So please check your spam and promotions folders in a few hours from now. Of course, you will get the recording. I know manual testing. Can I have only internship? Well, if you know manual testing, internship is not what you need. You know why? Because to know manual testing, you don't need to be genius. You can learn it in a few hours. The problem, again, is not doing the job. There is no problem doing manual QA job to anyone. The problem is getting the job. To get the job, you need to prepare for the interview. You need to be confident answering interview questions. That's what you need. Not the internship. Not to know how to do manual testing. You need to pass the interview and get the job. Once you got the job, everything will be very straightforward and simple. Okay? So the most important thing for you is to be prepared for the interview. Okay? Internship, yeah, it's good, it's nice, it's going to give you extra confidence. But what's important is the preparation for the interview. How often do you have this course? Well, we definitely are here for a long time, and we have courses every month. But faster you start, faster you get the job. Cool. Are we going to be supplied with laptops? Well, after you get a job, the company going to send you the laptops. At the course, you need to have a laptop or a computer to be able to watch the lessons and listen to lessons. Cool. Some of your questions, I read them and I didn't understand what you meant. Sorry about that. Guys, you can email advisors@careerist.com and get all the answers that you need. Okay? Thank you very much and see you tomorrow on lesson number 2. Have a good one. Bye bye, guys.